Hello, welcome back. So, we're going to have some fun with some tampering and some interception. So, we'll get right into it and go over its definitions and see what it's all about. All right, first we're going to go with tampering. We're going with the NIST definition of tampering. An intentional but unauthorized act resulting in the modification of a system, components of systems, its intended behavior, or data. And we'll go over to NordVPN's example. So, tampering attack definitions. A tampering attack or data tampering entails the harmful alteration of information. Perpetrators who aren't authorized alter the data so that its integrity is compromised, typically aiming to achieve malicious advantage or interrupt functionality. The target of such an attack may be data that is either in the process of being transferred from one location to another or saved on a specific system or device. And to give you some examples to like what the tampering might entail: the man in the middle attack, brute force attack, firewall, and data integrity. So with data tampering attack examples, man in the middle, for example, in this type of tampering attack, a malicious actor intercepts and alters the communication between two parties without their knowledge. And in this, you can do multiple different forms. You can go and be able to alter the data with the packets, intercept the packets as they're going through. You can do this physical or over the web. And physical would be more of a, you would have a device. There's the Hack 5 devices where you can be able to plug in the Ethernet on one side and plug in the other Ethernet through the other way. So that way you get a connection that's in between. It'll go and pass through, send the data to you. You can change the data, then you send it back. Biggest thing is you got to have definitely your all your stuff kind of prepared before doing that. If not, they're gonna notice some slowdown. They're gonna notice some differences, and depending on what kind of virus software or malware software that they've got, they could be able to read that and see that. And definitely with the networking side, it might have some FTD firewall threat detection or something. So then you've got data corruption. A user could manipulate the data stored in a system to cause erroneous outputs or system crashes. So a lot of this, some will be just more of a targeted. It's like for data corruption, they'll want to just destroy your computer. So this is somebody that either doesn't want the data. You have data that they want destroyed and taken off of there, but usually in that case, they might have backups. So you never know what the backup's up, and you don't know if you're actually destroying all of the information that's actually been out there. Biggest rule in when it comes to the web: if you don't want it on the web, don't put it on the web. Not even once, not even close, not anything. Once it goes on the web, you're done for. It's going to stay on there. But definitely with data corruption, it's very easy to corrupt data, but then it will take. We've got data recovery people that's their specific job to be able to recover what has been attacked or tampered with or that. So you can definitely see what they can recover. Sometimes, I mean, you can't recover everything. It just depends on the attack and how it was tampered with. And there's several different ways of data corruption when you tamper. And you can tamper a flash drive, a hard drive, network drives, many different ways. But some similarities and differences with other types of attacks. Tampering attacks are similar to injection attacks, where malicious data is inserted into a system. However, the difference lies in the intent and outcome. Tampering attacks aim at altering existing data, while injections attacks focus on introducing new data. So definitely with this, yeah, the tampering attacks with altering existing data, they're wanting to more or less delete it and not have that ever shown again, blah, 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 or try to, like your criminal record, I'm going to delete that so that way it's never on there. There's usually many different ways for backup, so I mean, you want to see on there. Injection wise would be a little bit easier because once they go in inject that information, then whoever's verifying all that, they might look into it and be like, oh, I missed this. Let me go and put this in. Let me put in the backups, and then it might go through there. Just depending on the case and what you're doing. But it depends on if they're actually verifying their sources, their information. They're like, oh wait, I didn't put this in. Let me see what that is, and then they report it to the security team. So it just depends on what kind of attack you're doing. Pros and cons of tampering attacks. From the attacker's perspective, pros: disruption. Tampering attacks can disrupt operations, leading to a financial or operational loss for the victim. On unauthorized gain, altering data can lead to unauthorized benefits, such as changing values in a financial transaction. So a lot of it is data. I mean, it is all towards that financial money. A lot of people want to go and alter bank accounts, whatever, to be able to get more money into their account, so that way they can go and steal money. Or a distraction sometimes can lead to a distraction, so they can go to the main operation. But definitely with that. And then cons, traceability. Many systems have robust tracking, making these attacks detectable. If you're online, you're going to be tracked. There's going to be a pathway going through. I mean, if you got VPN and stuff like that, it's going to make it harder at the end. But like what we discussed earlier, it's like if you're in a country that doesn't abide by those laws, then you're more protected. But if you're not, then they can come after you. It really depends on that. But 9 times out of 10, they're gonna come after you, especially if you steal a lot of money. You're gonna be on this radar, and the FBI and everybody else is gonna be coming after you. So don't do that. Um, then repercussions: if traced, attackers can face several severe legal consequences, and I mean a lot. I mean they can slap you with a ton of different charges, not just stealing money. I mean, you got data tampering, then you got getting past login. I mean, tons of security things that they'll go and charge you with. I mean, they'll throw the book at you. So definitely do not do that. Preventing tampering attacks, just don't do it. No. And for the ones that get it, you want to use robust encryption techniques for data in transit and at rest. Implement data integrity checks to ensure data hasn't been manipulated, and use a VPN for secure and reliable data transmission. And as this, it's like it goes both ways. It's like if attackers can use it, you can use it, and give you that more secure data protection on there. Then, but definitely having that firewall, having that protection where it's like the trace is encrypted, is definitely, especially for financial people or anybody that's really important. Honestly, for everybody, if you can, it's like if you have the funds, definitely focus on that. Your main source of protection is the traffic coming in and traffic coming out. You should be looking at that, because by the time that if it comes in, it's going to store it, then it can redirect to a different location than its actual back target. So definitely watch it even coming in. I mean, a lot of your malware, you got your protection from the front end, it coming in, then you got a protection from the actual computer side, which it can delete it off there, but depending on what it's actually stored, and may be able to route a different way or won't catch it, then boom, it's got it. It's done. So definitely have a good firewall. Definitely have a good antivirus software on both ends. So protect everywhere you can. Then parameter tampering. There we go. There's another different one. Parameter tampering is a type of web-based cyber attack in which certain parameters in a URL are changed without a user's authorization. In some cases, the data entered by a user into a form field of a web page may also be modified. Again, without the user's authorization, the attack may point the browser to a link, page, or site that the user did not intend to access. Just like the other phishing and all that, it's like click on a link, it takes you to a different location. Definitely at the top, you'll have, if somebody's going to a specific site just for them, there'll be a lot of letters, symbols, all of that. It's kind of hard to tell when it starts getting to that big, but then they can go and change it to like a different different letter or word or something like that. That will make it a little bit harder to kind of figure out. But you definitely want to gotta make sure that it is secure, and you can check the search, things like that, to kind of make sure you're at the right location. Then parameter tampering explained. A parameter tampering attack targets a web application business logic. It is employed by malicious users looking to exploit the application for their own benefit. Some attackers also use the parameter tampering to launch a man-in-the-middle attack. Since this attack is based on manipulating the parameters exchanged between a client and server, it enables bad actors to modify application data, including users' credentials, user permissions, and even the number, quantity, or price of products listed on a website. The data stored in URL query strings, hidden forms, fields, hypertext transfer protocol, HTTP headers, or cookies is required to expand a web application's control and functionality. However, through parameter tampering, a bad actor such as an identified theft can manipulate this data to obtain personal or business information about the user. So here's an example of that man-in-the-middle attack. You got your user, you got the web application, just like that. Original connection, it changes it, goes to the man-in-the-middle, back and forth. The impact of parameter tampering depends on the type of parameter being manipulated. For such parameters and their impact are explained below. So we got 4 different ones. We got impact of manipulating URL query strings. So query strings are typically used in web applications to pass data from the client to the server through parameters, add data cells to the hyperlink, and display that information on a linked page. Attackers may tamper with the URL query string to perform malicious actions such as stealing data by manipulating query strings. They can access information from a database, understand the architecture of a web application, or even execute commands on the web server. Then you got 2, you got impact of manipulating HTTP post data. Since query strings are fairly simple, many web applications use the post method to pass data between pages. Post data is not displayed by browsers, so it is considered a safe way to retrieve information. However, attackers can still modify the data to gain access to sensitive information. Then we got 3, impact of manipulating HTTP headers. HTTP headers are commonly used by HTTP requests and responses to deliver information about the HTTP message. A referrer header is included in the HTTP request header. It contains the URL of the web page from which the request originated and enables websites to identify the locations of visitors. This data can be used to optimize caching and for analytics and logging. Attackers can modify the referrer header to make it look like it came from the original site. By submitting a malicious string, they can construct arbitrary HTTP responses and launch many kinds of attacks, including cross-user defacement or web and browser cache poisoning. They may also hijack pages or infiltrate cross-site scripting attacks. So here's an example of that cross-site scripting. So you got your attacker, you got your website victim user. So from there, the malicious script, first the attacker injects the website with the malicious script that will execute another user's browser. So once it's in there, the user goes and jumps on. The malicious script is activated with each visit to this website. So each one that goes to it, it will take this injection. And then in some attacks, the victim's cookies are stolen or private credentials are revealed. So basically all your passwords you save, all the websites you visited, all of the sessions that you've been that are very secret, your banking information, all of that can be hijacked and broken into. So that's why it's always good to clear your cache and to keep it cleared on a regular basis. So then it does help with refreshing the page a little bit quicker, but in turn, it's going to hurt you. So just taking that little bit longer of signing in or that will help you if you are really worried about it. If you're somebody that's kind of on top of all of that, but even the best hackers or the best cybersecurity people can fall into that. So keep an eye out on that. Impact manipulating website cookies. Website cookies, a small piece of information stored in the web browser. The web server creates cookies to store users' preferences and other data, such as timestamps and session tokens. An attacker can modify or poison a cookie to bypass authentication in order to access a user's account and view, manipulate, or exfiltrate sensitive data. So basically, it's like they've got a your history log. So once your history log, it's just doing like a replay of what you actually have done. So, ugh. Then we got preventing parameter tampering. Parameter tampering is especially common when applications are developed without properly validating the characters that will be accepted by the web application. Fortunately, it is possible to prevent such attacks by adopting secure programming techniques so that only expected data is accepted by the web application. If the application can't accept manipulated parameters, malicious actors won't be able to extract information from a database or execute arbitrary commands at the operating system level. The application logic should be able to handle a situation from a parameter in either not passed or passed incorrectly. Further, when developing secure and stable code, developers should treat cookies as the same as parameters. Then, then you got other ways to prevent parameter tampering includes these practices. Clearly define the data type. Then we'll kind of just go just a little bit quicker. Control parameters passing. Control parameters with incorrect format. Never store critical data in hidden parameters. And rigorous application testing. So quality assurance. Then in general, allow listing or accepting only allowable inputs is a more effective way to prevent parameter tampering than block listing or refusing to accept forbidden input. Just like a whitelist and a blacklist, yeah, there you go. A web application firewall can also provide some protection against parameter tampering, provided that it's configured properly for the site in use. Just kind of like a firewall, it's got a whitelist and blacklist. You want to definitely have it to where an allow list for it to be able to do that, so you can allow certain things, and you've got it to what the strict that it needs. Because if you're blocking a million things. It's just going to be block, 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 and you don't know what all is out there. So you don't want to have like a 0 day or something like that, which that's gonna is still going to go past. But there's so many things to block out there that you don't want a job just blocking just because of that. So overall, the vulnerability of a computer or network to parameter tampering can be minimized by implementing a strict application security routine and making sure that it is kept up to date, just like everything. All right, we'll go over to the interception attacks. Interception attack definition. So, interception attacks are any situation where a hacker intercepts and changes communication between two parties without their knowledge. To do that, the attacker may place themselves between the sender and the receiver. This is called a man in the middle attack. Just like we talked about earlier with the man in the middle, just like with tampering, this is the actual interception where it'll take it first, then pass it on. So, taking over wireless communication, manipulating network traffic, exploiting vulnerabilities in communication protocols, and hacking network infrastructure. Whatever the method, the goal is to eavesdrop, manipulate, or even impersonate the communication. Man in middle attacks, evil twin, eavesdropping. Evil twin is the site that gives you the option to not really manipulate, but have the same website as them, but it's your website, not theirs. So over Wi-Fi. So, which is a really good tool. Interception attacks examples: man in the middle attack. In a man in the middle attack, the attacker positions themselves between the sender and the receiver. This allows an intercept the communication, listens to message, modify the content, or impersonate one or both parties involved. Okay, and we know that. Then we got the SSL strip. Is a well-known interception attack that targets the HTTPS communication protocol. As you notice, it's HTTPS. So even the secure communication protocol, it tricks users into connecting to an insecure HTTP websites instead of the intended secure HTTPS sites. So this is how even the secure HTTPS is still vulnerable to that. Still vulnerable to this attack. So this allows the attacker to intercept and manipulate the traffic. Evil twin attackers, attackers set up rogue Wi-Fi access points that mimic legitimate networks. Unsuspecting users connect them to them, allowing the attackers to intercept and manipulate their data. So we'll definitely show this on the Wi-Fi Pineapple later, but why that one is so good is because you could go out anywhere, like a hotel, a conference, anywhere that you want, and you can put that to just guest Wi-Fi. Anybody will click on it. It's free. They'll think it's free. Guest Wi-Fi. Click. Let me see if I get it. It'll open up. You want to put a page of, do you accept these terms of using this free Wi-Fi of the secure blah blah blah? Hit that. But first, you got to make an account. So you create an account. You put in your username and password. It's usually going to be your main one that you use. Boom, you got the credentials. You just took that. And then if you want malicious data on it, you got that. You send it to the computer. Boom, you just got 2 attacks just hit right there. So definitely keep an eye on that evil twin attacks and kind of watch what free Wi-Fi you get. So I always use a hotspot if you can. That's yours, not somebody. Well, at least somebody that you know that you trust. That'd be fine too. Then you got DNS spoofing. DNS spoofing is when attackers tamper with the domain name system to redirect users to harmful websites or intercept their communications. They do it by altering the DNS responses. As a result, users think they are visiting a trusted website when they are actually interacting with the attacker's server. Then you got some other ones. Let's see here. So this one's actually a little different for us. We'll do kind of like the interception for this. I think this one's for MITRE. Yeah, for the MITRE definition. And description: an adversary monitors data streams to or from the target or information gathering purposes. This attack may be undertaken to solely gather sensitive information or to support a further attack against the target. This attack pattern can involve sniffing network traffic using like a Wireshark or something like that, then as well as other types of data streams, as in radio frequencies. The adversary can attempt to initiate the established of a data stream or passively observe the communications as they unfold. In all variants of this attack, the adversary is not the intended recipient of the data stream, in contrast to other means of gathering information. The adversary must actively position themselves so as to observe explicit data channels and read the content. However, this attack differs from an adversary in the middle attack, and as the adversary does not alter the content of the communications nor forward data to the intended recipient. So likelihood of this attack is very low. The typical severity is medium. And then relations to sniffy attacks, Android intent, intercept, and eavesdropping. So then that's why this site is so nice. You get kind of more of a reference of how dangerous it is and what's going to happen pretty much. Then you got domains of attack, mechanism of attack, top level category, software, blah, blah, blah. Prerequisites: the target must transmit data over a medium that is accessible to the adversary. So either like Wireshark or like the device, or many others. Let's see. The adversary must have the necessary technology to intercept information passed between the nodes of the network for TCP/IP, the compatibility to run TCP dump, ethereal, etc. can be useful depending upon the data being targeted. The technological requirements will change. Confidentiality: read data, leveraging encryption to encode the transmission of data, thus making it accessible only to authorized parties. So that's a mitigation to go and avoid that. Some you can still go and read the data. There's some you can go and transfer the code, but it depends on how they're encrypting it. So, and it might take a lot longer. Depends on how much you want that information. Then it's got CWE ID 319, a weakness name, clear text transmission of sensitive information. So definitely keep this MITRE list on there. So basically, if you need some references to kind of like what it is or what, how could it attack or how to mitigate, this one's a really good site to go to. So then our last one, interception attack. So this one will be just kind of pretty much the same thing we talked about. We'll make sure and see if there's anything new that that they can give to us. So, interception attacks allow unauthorized users to access our data, applications, or environments, and are primarily an attack against confidentiality. Interception might take the form of unauthorized file viewing or copying, eavesdropping on phone conversations, reading emails, can be conducted against data at rest or in motion. Properly executed interception attacks can be difficult to detect. Just because they're trying to be hidden, they're trying to pass through without being known, or get that information that they need. So much data is sent, it's hard to catch everything. Especially the bigger you are, the more data is being passed through. So it's hard for the human eye to kind of check it unless somebody's staring at it all day and know what to look for. Even if they know what to look for, they got to take a break sometimes. So then the confidentiality, interception, integrity, and availability. So interception attacks allow unauthorized users to access our data, application environments, blah, 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 same thing. And then interruption. So you got interruption attacks cause our assets to become unusable or unavailable for our use on a temporary or permanent basis. Interruption attacks often affect availability, but can be an attack of integrity as well. In this case of a DOS attack on a mail server, we would classify this as an availability attack. In this case of an attacker manipulates the processes on which a database runs in order to prevent access to the data it contains. We might consider this an integrity attack due to the possible loss or corruption of data, or we might consider it a combination of the two. We might also consider such database attacks to be a modification attack rather than an interruption attack. So, given that there's so many different ways of taking that, like the interruption, the interception, the even the tampering. It's like they've got very similar words for each one of them, but each one has its specific use for going through. But with that, you got modification, fabrication. I think, let's see here. Then threats. Those are the other ones. But as you see, there's multiple different ways. And definitions for that. So definitely research, see what you can find. But I hope you guys learned something today on tampering and interception, and we'll go from there. Then go into man in the middle in the next section. So have a good one. Peace. Bye.